A lot of students struggle with LSAT reading comp, and even a lot of prep companies say you can't improve at LSAT reading comp. The good news is they're wrong. Today, I'm going to share with you how you can significantly improve your LSAT reading comp score, and the secret is often doing less. For those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally increased my LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. And what I found is that my LSAT reading comp score often was better when I did less work up front. It takes time to write things down, it takes time to read things, and the notes that you take often end up not even being that useful. This was the case on the paper LSAT, and it's even more true on the online LSAT because the underlining and highlighting tools are oftentimes glitchy and imprecise, meaning that you waste valuable time when you try to get them to work to highlight and underline what you're trying to notate on the passage text itself. I have found that instead, taking a more minimal approach is oftentimes a lot more effective, just jotting down maybe a couple of keywords, summarizing what's the main idea, what's the author's opinion, and to leave it at that. Now, a lot of folks will say, read Scientific American or The Economist to get better at reading difficult, dense text. The thing is that these are popular magazines that are typically read for pleasure, meaning they're meant to be engaging. And of course, they're targeting a relatively more educated audience, but the thing is that they're still written for enjoyment. Whereas in contrast, LSAT reading comp passages certainly are not written for your personal enjoyment. They're meant to bore you to death, and you have about 400 real, actual, official LSAT reading comp passages that you can study from. So my question is, why would you ever go beyond those unless you're taking the LSAT maybe more than a year from now? Most students are typically taking the LSAT within 3 to 6 months at most, and so you want to budget out those 400 passages and make sure that you'll get to as many of them as possible, but you don't want to spend your time reading a magazine at the expense of getting through actual LSAT reading material. Now, how do you use these 400 passages? Maybe you save roughly 100 of them for your full-length timed practice tests. Maybe you save 100 for drilling, 100 for timed sections, and that still leaves 100 for reading casually, for your bathroom reading, your beach reading, what have you. The idea being that you can work through a good chunk of them just for familiarization with the difficult types of reading that you'll see on test day itself. Maybe some of your drills could involve reading the passage text and simply solving the main idea associated questions, the general global questions on things like primary purpose, author's opinion, best title, best tone, passage organization, and just then you could try pre-phrasing your understanding of the main idea and then look for LSAC's articulation of that main idea in the correct answer to get better at understanding how LSAC tends to word things and how that may or may not line up with your understanding of the passage. Those main idea questions are meant to be gimmies, they're meant to be warm-ups. The idea being that they will allow you to understand LSAC's view of the passage, and then it makes the other questions that much easier when you have a better handle on the degree of precision with which they are thinking about the passage. Now, I'll share some ideas on LSAT reading comp question solving strategies and approach in just a moment, but before I do, I wanted to let you know that at LSAT Unplugged, we can help you significantly improve your LSAT reading comp score as well as your overall LSAT score through our various programs, whether it's our one-on-one coaching programs, our small group coaching programs, online classes, on-demand video courses. If you're interested in finding out more, you can check out the links below this video to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. Now, LSAT reading comp questions can be grouped into 3 major categories: the general global questions, like the main idea questions. You then have your more detail-oriented questions, which require a bit more going back to the passage text. And finally, lastly, you have your more inferential questions, which require a bit more reading between the lines. Of course, these questions can be scrambled and presented in almost any order. I recommend solving the general global questions first as your warm-up, so to speak, giving you the overall bird's eye view or the lay of the land of the passage, then doing the detail-oriented questions next that require going back to the passage text for specific lines, and then finally saving the more inferential questions for last. These are a bit more abstract, a bit more reading between the lines. And this is where you'll also see those parallel reasoning or analogy type questions, similar to some of the tougher questions in LSAT logical reasoning. Save those for last. Now, if you are struggling with understanding the passage text as one exercise, you might try rewriting the entire passage in simpler language, like you were going to explain to a 5-year-old. This is one technique we use at LSAT Unplugged to help our students. Again, if you're interested in finding out more about working with us, links below. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.